Hello, swimmers. Welcome to the Castle Swim preparedness video. My name's Matt. I am one of the race directors, and you will see me this weekend along with Larry and Carl and Parisa, and hopefully a lot of dogs around us, as long as they're well behaved. This video is if you are swimming either a 2.5K, a 5K, or a 10K at the Castle Mountain Recreation Center outside of Bailey, Colorado. If you're watching this video and you are not planning to swim those distances this weekend, this video probably isn't for you. I'm going to cover a lot of information in this video, so hopefully that will answer any questions that you have. But if any questions remain after watching this video and checking our website, then please feel free to email us with any other outstanding questions. Our email is mountainswimseries@gmail.com. So without any further ado, why don't we jump on into it? All righty. So we'll start right here with race distances, the course, buoys, and our swim direction. Now, this is Wellington Lake, where we're going to be swimming this weekend. You will arrive from the north over here on County Road 543. And when you get to this T right here, you're going to want to make a left, go over the little dam right here, and then keep on driving until you hit a little gate on your right-hand side. There will be a Mountain Swim Series sign there, but you will make a right-hand turn at that gate that should be open, and I'll zoom in for y'all. There's a teeny little road right there that you're going to drive in on. So whether you're arriving on Friday for camping or Saturday for a swim or Sunday for the swim run, this is the direction that you'll take. Now, once you go up that little road, you'll see a couple of Mountain Swim Series staff members, and they'll direct you over here for either your camping or your parking. Now, what's important to note is that camping and parking is about a 2/3 of a mile walk down this hill to our little minnow beach over here. So please give yourself time, anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes to walk down this hill. It's a little bit steep. There's some rocks, it's not a paved road. So we suggest wearing some shoes before the race if you're camping or parking, and walking on down. You are not allowed to drive down this road to get to the start. So knowing that, let's jump on into the actual race course. Now, the race course is a counterclockwise course. That means this big red polygon you see right here, you'll be starting at the Minnow Beach here. You'll be going due north, and then you'll make a slight 270-degree left-hand turn to go to the northwest, following my cursor right there. You'll reach this pinnacle point right here where there will be a buoy, and then you'll turn around and come all the way back to the beach. Now, if you're only swimming 2.5 kilometers, then you're doing one lap of this course. It's 2.5 kilometers long. If you're doing a 5-kilometer swim, you're doing 2 laps. And for those of you who are great at math, if you're doing 10 kilometers, you're going to be doing 4 laps of this course. Now, let's talk about those who are doing multiple laps. You see this nice little feed station marker? That's going to be towards the end of each lap on the water. There will be a big movable dock with one of our staff members on that dock. Now, before the race, you will have the opportunity to, if you're doing the 5K or the 10K, fill up bottles or any other nutrition you might want for during the race, put it on that movable dock, and then have it out there for you for in between each lap. As you approach that dock along this south stretch, you'll be able to lift up your head and yell your number, which you will be assigned on the day of the race, and you will have labeled your nutrition with that. We will have tape and markers for you to do that. You'll yell your number, and they will be able to get it ready for you as you approach. Now, you can rest your hand on the dock if you want while you take your nutrition, or you don't have to, but that's going to be about 25 yards off of shore, so you're not going to be able to stand right there while you're feeding. Now, there will also be a buoy right next to that dock where you will turn about 90 degrees to the left and go back to right over here if you're doing multiple laps. So, speaking of that buoy that's going to be directing you, let's talk about all of the buoys in this race. There will be one buoy on shore, on land right here, just so you can see where you're coming to finish the race. And you will finish the race by crossing the line that is on the land. You do not finish your race by standing up 20 yards off of shore, but by crossing the finish line. So if you're in a race to the end, you do have to run a couple of steps. Now, the first buoy that you'll see in this counterclockwise course is right where I'm pointing my cursor right now. There will be a big buoy right there. And then your next two buoys will be sighting buoys. They'll be placed approximately where I'm jumping my cursor from right here. There will be one sighting buoy for on your way out, and there will be one sighting buoy for on your way back. You do not have to keep those buoys on your left-hand side. They are just for sighting purposes, but we recommend you do to avoid any collisions if you are going out and someone else is coming in. Now, the last buoy is going to be at the very pinnacle of this triangle polygon shape of the course, and you will make a 180-degree turn around that buoy and then come all the way back. You'll see that sighting buoy on the way back, and then you'll come back to here where that feeding raft is. Now, again, if you're doing multiple laps, you can feed if you would like. You do not have to, but there will be another buoy where you'll take a 90-degree turn and come on back over to that first start buoy. Or if you're finishing your race, either 1, 2, or 4 laps, then you'll come all the way onto the beach to finish. Now, let's talk about some more specifics here for how the race starts. All three distances, will be starting at the exact same time. It will be a mass in water start, but everyone will have a different color cap. The 2.5 kilometer swimmers will have one color, the 5 kilometer swimmers will have a different color, and the 10 kilometers will yet have a different color cap. So you'll be able to tell who you're racing against if you're in a tight position. Now, this race map will also be on our registration table, so you'll get to remind yourself of it the morning of the race. But let's talk a little bit more about the morning of the race. And let's talk about packet pickup time. So I'm going to jump over to our website so you guys can see all of these details. Now, as you can see right here, packet pickup and parking happens between 6 a.m. and 7:15 a.m. Now, remember, if you're coming from Denver, that's going to be at least an hour drive, probably a little bit more. So you're going to need to leave pretty darn early if you're not camping with us. And I'll talk about camping in a couple of minutes. 6 to 7:15 is the check-in time. After you have parked, you'll walk down that big hill that I talked about and check in near the swim beach. If you arrive after 7:15 a.m., we will not allow you to swim. We are at our final points of setting up at that time. We don't have time to handle late check-ins. So please arrive to parking by about 7 p.m. at the absolute latest, so that way you can make sure to check in by 7:15 a.m. Now, like I mentioned, all 3 swims will occur simultaneously, but we will have different color caps so you know who you're racing against. We do have cutoff times. As much as we would like to spend all day in the reservoir, we can't allow that with our permit. If you're swimming the 2.5 kilometer race, you have 1 hour. The race starts at 8 a.m., and so you need to be out by 9 a.m. If you're doing the 5K, then you have 2 hours. So we're starting at 8 a.m., you have to be out by 10 a.m. If you're doing the 10K, you have 4 hours, which means you have to be out by noon. Now, the way we will enforce this, especially for the 10K swimmers, is if you have finished 3 laps and it's taken you more than 3 hours to finish 3 laps, we will not let you start that 4th lap, because we have to assume that you're going to stay the same pace and not be done within 4 hours, which is not within our permit limits. So the other thing to consider is that this year only, the Mountain Swim Series is lucky enough to be hosting the Colorado Master Swim Association, or COMSA, Open Water Championships. And that's for the 2.5 kilometer swim only. Now, not everybody who's swimming with us will be part of that Open Water Championship, but if you are a COMSA member and you want to take part in that championship, then as soon as you're done watching this video, then go and send us an email. Again, that's mountainswimseries@gmail.com with your COMSA number. You can get your COMSA number on the COMSA website, but we need your number if you are going to be participating and trying for awards in that open water championship. There will be separate awards for anyone who is participating in the COMSA Open Water Championships. Now, let's talk a little bit more about packet pickup. So, like we mentioned before, packet pickup is between 6 and 7:15 a.m. At packet pickup, you will get your cap and you will get an awesome t-shirt that was designed by local artist Elliot Lang. And at that point, you'll also be body marking. So if you are wearing a wetsuit that's full sleeve, then you'll be body marking the back of your hands with the number. Again, you'll get that on race morning, and you'll be writing your number on your cap. If you're wearing a sleeveless wetsuit, then you can write your numbers on your arms right here. Or if you're just not wearing a wetsuit at all, you can put them on your arms and your cap as well. Now, speaking of wetsuits, let's talk about those. We're expecting the water temperature to be in the low 70s, high 60s to low 70s. And remember, we're swimming at altitude. So if you haven't swam in cold water before, then remember that this is going to be a lot colder than you're used to at a pool or even down at the Chatfield gravel pond, which is in the high 70s at this point. So if you have not practiced wearing a wetsuit during an open water swim, race day is not the first time that you should be doing that. Let me repeat that because it's very important, and this happens every year. Someone will say, the water is too cold. I've never worn a wetsuit before, but maybe I should try this year. This is not the time to do that. Wetsuits cause a lot of constriction on your neck and shoulders and chest and make it really hard to breathe. That's compounded by the altitude of this race. So if you are worried about either the temperature of the water or just flotation, shoot us an email and we can talk through your different options. The other thing about wetsuits is that if you have signed up as a wetsuit swimmer and you want to change it on the day of, or vice versa, you can do that at the registration table. You just need to tell us so we can confirm before the race starts. Now, the other thing that goes along with wetsuits are the differential awards. We give awards out to the top 3 men and women who are wearing a wetsuit or no wetsuit. So if you are strategizing potentially for how you can get an award, then that will be something for you to consider. Now, let's talk about safety on the water because we've just talked about wetsuits and their potential drawbacks. Safety on the water is our #1 priority for this race. If you, and all of our races for that matter, if you are getting in the water to race with us this Saturday, then you will also get out of the water under your own volition. Okay, so let's talk about how that's going to be best. The first and foremost thing that you can do is helping yourself by making sure you are prepared, doing multiple open water swims before the race starts, making sure your wetsuit and your goggles fit correctly, and you have trained and you know what you're getting yourself into. If you're worried about any of those factors, email us this week and we can talk about it. So if you're out there and maybe you're a seasoned veteran for open water swimming, but sometimes you're just having an off day, maybe your heart's racing, maybe you can't breathe very well, and let's say you're wearing a wetsuit. The first thing you're going to want to do is pull down on the neck of that wetsuit. Let a little bit of water in, let the constriction go down, maybe even unzip the wetsuit from the back. Let that constriction dissipate a little bit and float on your back. Wetsuits are buoyant for a reason. You spent all that money on a wonderful piece of equipment, you might as well use it. When you're floating on your back, put your chin up and your head back until you feel your stomach and your toes floating on the surface. Take some really big, deep inhales and exhales, and at that point, you should be able to either make a decision about whether you want to keep swimming or not. Now, while all of this is going on, we're going to have stand-up paddleboarders and kayakers out on the race course. And you will see them at all points of the race course, at the start, at the buoys, at the far end, all of those different pieces. At any point, if you're feeling unsafe, the best thing you can do is go over to one of those kayakers or stand-up paddleboarders, tell them you're feeling unsafe, and very gently place your hand on either the tip or tail of their watercraft. Now, it's really important that you put your hand gently on the tip or the tail. If you grab right in the center, then that kayak or stand-up paddleboard might tip over, and then our volunteer is in the water with you. And they're probably not planning on swimming this Saturday. That's why they're in a watercraft. So they will also have life-saving devices, and if they need to tow you to shore, that's totally fine. Again, safety is our number one priority. And in our perspective, the most mature swimmers are the ones who can make the difficult decisions to remove themselves from a race when their safety or their health might be at issue. So let's talk about that again. There will be medical staff, EMTs, and paramedics at the start and end, right here where I'm tracing my cursor, as well as right over here on this other beach, about halfway through the course. So if at any point you are feeling unsafe and you go to one of those volunteers and you need to go to shore, there will be medical staff to help you. Now, let's move on for what to bring and potentially how to help you with any of that cold water or cold weather issues. Actually, let's leave that course up so you guys can see where you're going to be swimming this weekend. Now, in addition to your suits and goggles that you're going to have, we will give you your caps to wear. You are required to wear our caps this weekend. We strongly suggest you bring warm liquids, warm clothes, and maybe extra goggles. If it's cloudy, you might not want mirrored goggles. If it's sunny, you might want mirrored goggles. But the important point of warm clothes and warm liquids is that when you get out of the water, even if you don't think you're cold, you might get cold upon exiting. We never know what the air temperature is going to be. And if you swam with us in previous years, you know that it could be anywhere from 85 and sunny to 50 degrees and cloudy and raining. So having those warm clothes is really important to put on as soon as you get out. Warm clothes consideration are generally synthetics or wool, not cottons. Cottons, as soon as they get wet, will not be insulating at all. So try to avoid those. The other thing is warm liquids. If you have a really great thermos or even like a camping stove, it's a great idea to bring that and you can warm up liquids for yourself. We will have a lot of warm liquid for you guys, coffees and teas, as well as other non-warms, Gatorade, to help you fuel after the race. But it's much easier to warm up your body from the inside out rather than the outside in with warm clothes. So those warm liquids are super important. The other consideration is if you are either driving or camping, it doesn't matter how you get here morning of, you should not try this swim without having eaten breakfast. One of the easiest ways to get hypothermic is not eating anything or not drinking enough before a race. Make sure you have eaten and drank enough water to be hydrated before starting this race. Now, that covers just about everything for this weekend swim. We're really excited to see you guys on Saturday. Please, as always, reach out if you don't have, or if you have any questions, but we're really looking forward to seeing you and drive safely, especially once you get into this area. The roads are dirt, they're a little rough, and a lot of times there's wildlife, so we don't need anybody having any accidents the morning of the race. And I know I said I was done, but let's actually talk about camping real quick. If you're camping with us on Friday or Saturday night, you cannot bring a trailer. You cannot bring an RV. That includes teardrop trailers. This happens every year. We tell people and we put on our website that you cannot bring trailers. And inevitably, someone shows up with a teardrop trailer saying it's small. I don't care if it's small. It's still a trailer. That is not allowed under our permit. You cannot camp with us in this meadow over here if you have a trailer. So you either need to be sleeping in your car or in a tent of some sort. You cannot bring a trailer. That should cover it. We're looking forward to seeing you guys this weekend. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.